This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, please click off the video now. You have been warned. Chapter 75. So was there ever a good phase of your relationship with Mom, or was it always how I remember it? I'm familiar with Mom's side of the story, that Dad was probably cheating or didn't do enough for the family or whatever the calm of the day was. Your father is lazy and incompetent, no other way to slice it. He's a distant man with an emotional range of a potato. As for how I remember it, I remember a few good things. I remember loving the way Dad's flannels smelled, pine wood with a dab of fresh paint. Sometimes I would sleep in them for comfort. I remember him teaching me how to tie my baby pink Winnie the Pooh shoes, bunny ear style, while I sat in a shopping cart in Sam's Club and Mom complained about how expensive toilet paper had gotten. I remember him inviting me to his work Christmas party at Home Depot. I couldn't believe he had chosen me to go to the party with him. Me. I didn't have to believe it for long because I quickly discovered it was Mom who wanted me to go with him to collect intel on which coworkers he might potentially be having an affair with. Don't rule out Don. I've always wondered if your father's secretly gay. Something about the way he sits, the way he crosses his legs. Regardless, I had a fun time at the party. There were red and green chiffon curtains hanging from the walls. Unsold Christmas trees lined the room. I learned how to play blackjack. I really felt loved by Dad that day, but otherwise the memories were less than fantastic. Mostly I remember Dad not being present, seeming uninterested. I remember him trying to read Stan the Hot Dog Man to me and Scotty every night for what must have been a 3 or 4 week stretch until eventually we gave up on him reading it because he couldn't get through the children's book without falling asleep. I remember him forgetting dance recitals and falling asleep during the family watch parties Mom would have for my TV performances. I remember the great pornography debacle of '03. Mom caught Dad watching pornography, a major sin in the Mormonism, and kicked him out of the house again, and that time for a month. She insisted that I call him by his first name, Mark. After that, I did until she died. Now I sit here opposite Dad and his new girlfriend. I'm not looking for Mom's side. I'm not looking for how I remember things. I'm looking for Dad's side. It was so long ago I hardly even remember, Dad finally answers. After a 10-second pause, he looks over to his girlfriend for approval. Dad's girlfriend is Karen, Mom's high school best friend who stole her baby name. As I study Karen from across the room, I realize Mom tried to do her makeup like Karen does hers, or maybe Karen tries to do her makeup like Mom did hers. I can't tell, but either way it makes me uncomfortable. I want Dad to be happy, but he's a little too happy. It's been a year since Mom's death, and he's been seeing Karen since 1 week after Mom died. Dad seemed more concerned about getting Karen's phone number than he was with mourning his wife of 30 years at a funeral after party. Is that why they call the part after a funeral where everyone eats finger sandwiches and tells you how they can relate to your loss because they lost a cat a few years back? Dad moved quicker than my brothers and I expected, and it hasn't been easy on any of us. We struggle, but we still make efforts to connect with him. We already lost our Mom. We don't want to lose our Dad too. To be fair, Dad's been making efforts as well, a lot more than he made when Mom was alive. He's been calling us every so often to check in, and he has had us make Amazon wish lists for Christmas so he'd know what to get us. That's when Dad called me up last week to say he wanted to meet in person to talk about things. While I was slightly surprised by the framing, I assumed that this chat session set for today was just another one of those efforts. But as I'm sitting here across from Dad and Karen, soaking in the lack of chemistry, I quickly realize that this is not one of Dad's efforts at all. There's something stiffer than usual in his body language. I figure this must be some sort of announcement. Now my body stiffens. Shit, Dad and Karen are getting married. Oh God, am I going to have to pretend to be supportive, excited even? I pick at my fingernails so I don't have to make eye contact while I prepare myself for what I'm about to ask. So, why'd you want to meet up? Oh, well, Dad looks at Karen. She gives him a big go on eyes. Oh God, now here it comes. Here it comes. Dustin, Scotty, and you are not my biological children. Huh? I'm shocked. I feel the color drain from my face. I'm sure I'm about to pass out. What? My cotton mouth finally chokes out. Dad just nods, tears well in Karen's eyes. But he is your father, she says, her voice cracking with emotional strain. This man's your father. The dizziness starts to subside, but I still can't think straight. Tears fall down my cheeks, even though I'm completely numb. I just thought you should know, Dad says, eyes looking down at his hands while he rubs them together. Mom always hated when Dad rubbed his hands together. Get a hand cream, Mark. I lean over and hug him. He hugs me back. Karen watches. Thank you for telling me, I say. My head's buried in his flannel, the smell of the familiar pine wood and paint. All I can see is the plaid chest pocket right in front of my eyes. I feel the fabric getting all wet from my tears. Karen leans toward my hunched-over body and drapes her right arm over me in sort of a half hug. Why, whenever two people are hugging in the room of three, does the third person feel they need to get in on the hug? Hugs were meant as a two-person activity, not a three-person one. We don't need you, number three, thank you. He told me, and I told him to tell you, Karen whispers, speaks into my hair. I told him he just had to tell you, you deserve to know. I finally break away from the thrug and look out the window so I don't have to look at Dad or Karen. There's something about inherently dramatic moments that make eye contact during these moments feel even more weighty and dramatic. It's a hat on a hat. There's enough drama here as it is. We're good. I'm looking out the window when I start to think about asking Dad who my biological father is. I want desperately to ask. I'm dying to know. Who is he? Do I have anything in common with him? Would he and I get along easier than Mark and I? Would there be any naturalness to our dynamic? I'm close to asking, but I stop myself. I don't want to offend Dad or Dad. Rather, for tonight, we'll just leave this at this. I've got time to ask all my questions later, so should we go see a movie or Dad ask? Potato. That is the end of chapter 75. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.